out Oshwari. As I promised, we're doing my interview with Sandra, the one that got lost due to technical issues. And if you don't know so much about Sandra, she's such an inspiration, and she survived abuse. And you're going to be hearing all the details from Sandra today. And just before Sandra comes in, as our custom is, let's talk about what's in my cup. In my cup today, I have water, and I love water. And lemon makes it more interesting for me. So there's lemon inside my water, and one of the benefits of lemon and water is that it's good for your immune system because it contains vitamin. It contains vitamin C and it's good for your immune system. I'm gonna take a sip and we're gonna get started. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Sandra Arunuba to hang out with Ashwari. Woo!
Thank you.
Hello, Sandra. Thank you for joining again. I'm glad you are able to do this again.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And I want you to just introduce yourself again, okay?
All right. Um, my name is Irene Sandra. I'm an architect and a mother of twin boys, also a single parent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you and welcome again. So I just want to tell us a little about Sandra. Sandra here was married and she had to leave the relationship because she was mentally, emotionally, and even verbally abused. And she was also physically abused. So she had to leave the relationship. And Sandra, by God's grace, is doing well right now. And she left that marriage. I'm glad she left the marriage, but we understand that there are a lot of people that might still be in that situation. She's out and she's fine. She A lot could have happened from the story, but now she's out and she's fine. But we're just doing this for the sake of those that are in this type of situation and they don't know what to do. We are hoping and praying that Sandra's story will inspire you and you will take the next right step because there's no marriage that is worth your life. There's no marriage that is worth your peace of mind. All right, go ahead, Sandra, and tell us about that time that you said you just needed to do something, and then you took some step towards him. What did he do, and what did you do? And just tell us about that day, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. From where we stopped, that particular day, what happened was we woke up in the morning, he got dressed and left the house. Before he left, I told him there was no food and he didn't provide money. He just left. Mind you, at this time, he had already stopped me from working and then no business kind of. So I got like I do PPs as an architect, like do drawings from home, work for people, clients. So I got a PP job, like a drawing job to do, which I was working on that day. And then he didn't provide money, like I said. He went out, leaving myself and the children at home. So by the time it was evening, he wasn't back. I just decided that okay, since we had beans at home, let's better make beans, which I put on fire. Then he came back at about 7 p.m. and I was working on my laptop at that time, like working on the drawing. And he said he gave me money, I think about 4,000 if I can remember vividly, and said, "Oh, go to the market now and make soup." And I was like, it's already 7 p.m. Going to the market now to make soup. I was like, you know what? I already put beans on fire. We can eat beans today. Tomorrow we'll make the soup. And he was like, I said, go to the market and make soup. I said, no, now I already put beans on fire. We eat the beans today. Tomorrow we'll rather make the soup. I'm doing something. And at that point, he just carried my laptop and banged it. Hmm. You know, at that point,
Wow.
laptop you did not buy,
So he actually broke your
he broke
Mm.
my laptop. Laptop you did not buy, number one. Number two, you already stopped me from working. Now, this thing I was doing was something I was doing to survive, at least to be able to do something for myself. And now, in fact, architects will tell you their laptops are their office. So just imagine, as an architect, that was my office. that was just destroyed, like in my very eyes, my very before. And at that point, I just felt like, what should I do? I just needed to do something. I just wanted to pay back for him to feel the hurt. Then I went to the kitchen, took like a piston, I banged the door, hit it, and did all of that. I thought it was going to destroy like the entrance. That's why he has to pay for something. It wasn't working. I went, I took his phone, I smashed it, and I just wanted to, and I just felt, oh, what can I do to this man that was painful? So I took the car keys, took it to the toilet, I put it in, and I flushed it. Yeah, I actually did that. I know some people would think like, oh, I was crazy. I was not crazy. Like at that point, I
Wow.
just wanted to inflate pain so on this person, like let him feel the level of pain he has had to inflict on me, with
Make
all
him
the
add
beatings
it
and all of that.
to the
At,
very top. I understand. Yeah.
at that point, I wanted to just inflate pain back on him. I wanted him to also feel like the pain he has been inflicting on me. So I flushed the keys. I took a bucket of water. I poured it into the tank to make sure that like it completely flushed. Now, like I said, I'm an architect. So, and we've been living in that house for a year and about 9 months thereabout before this incident. So, at least one thing, obviously, I know how the plumb-based system of that house was done. So, I knew that the keys will be somewhere hanging. It's not like it's going to be completely down. After
Okay.
I had flushed the keys, now the next thing he did was to call my parents to tell them that, oh, Sandra flushed my car keys. He didn't even talk about his phone. He went ahead to talk about the car keys. And my parents called me with all form of anger, resentment, like especially my dad, because my dad was so angry. I was like, Sandra, why will you do that? That no, that is not it. That's a sin. To spoil something that you use and all of that. You use this car, why will you flush it? And my dad kept talking, and I was like, I don't understand. So, they kept on shouting and all of that. I just had to tell my dad, I said, you know what? I don't even want you to get involved in my matter again. From now henceforth, whatever happens is my business. I'll get to deal with it my way. And I just said, in fact, I forwarded it as a message on WhatsApp to my parents, which my dad still kept for a very long time. I just told him, don't even get bothered about my children. Don't bother about me. I don't care. Since you are not even trying to know what happened, you just took because somebody said, I flushed the car keys. You didn't even ask, how did it happen? How did I flush the car keys? I just ended the call. And then my dad said, no, he was going to send me money. I should make sure I get the ignition of the car keys changed. And again, like I said, it was not like it was so expensive. So it was something that I could have still been able to afford to fix it. Right. But I just wanted him to feel that pain because that car was not, the amount of that car is not worth my life. But rather, I have been abused and battered like not once, not twice, not three times. What if on those battering days I died? Nobody will revive me. I won't be able to come back to life. But his car can come back to life. It's just a car ignition, which it is
Okay.
changeable for crying out loud. And he could feel that much pain for a car, not a human being. So, he actually restricted the children from talking to me. First time he beat his children, and I'm like, oh, what you've never done. Interesting. He didn't allow the children come close to me, not to even talk to me. For me, I no problem. It was fine. And we slept that night. And the next morning was Sunday morning. He did the same thing. He didn't allow them talk to me. He took them to church. And by the time he went to church, my dad called and said, Sandra, I'm sending you money right now. I need you to get that ignition fixed. How much is it? I think at that time the ignition was even 10,000 naira. So my dad sent the money, 10,000 naira. I can remember very well. He sent the money immediately. And so when I got the alert, I went to get a plumber around my area. And I took him to the chamber and I told him, break here, the car key is here. So you see all those times my parents were shouting, I just kept telling them, this key is in the plumber. My dad said, how do I know? I said, okay, what do I know? There's no need to argue. After all, they've dashed me 10K. Free money. For crying out loud, it was good money. So we broke the chamber and lo and behold, the key was just there smiling at us. We picked it out, we washed it and kept it for the car owner. You know. And when he came back from church, I gave him his car keys. Now, when I gave him his car keys, nobody talked about my laptop. Nobody. He didn't bother fixing my laptop. So my laptop was the what? The damage. How will I call it now? Will I call it the damage victim of his drama? But that was how I was without a laptop. I couldn't do any architectural job.
Wow.
So after that, I had to now tell my parents he had damaged my laptop. They got to know and they were trying to fix it. So basically, that was what happened when I had to inflate. I had to try the pain thing on him. Yeah,
Okay, so apparently he felt that. I mean, so he felt so much for Kaki more than a human being. At the end of it, that's what I can
he
get.
felt it though.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe instantly he called my parents to report that I flushed the car key. You know, the starter of fight was the first to report. As funny as it can be, but story of my life, you know, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so and then at some point you said, well, totally done. At what point did you make up your mind that,
Mm.
okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm.
And what led to it?
Yeah. So the next one, there was another one that happened. I don't know if I've said it in previous video, where the children had to do career day in school. And we already said, okay, one of the boys was going to do a pilot and one was going to do a Navy officer. Now we're meant to make like Nigerian schools career day, you're meant to replicate the kind of uniforms for those career. So as it was approaching, I kept telling him, oh, we needed to get this clothes for the boys and all of that. And lo and behold, he kept saying, oh, no money, no money, no money, no money, and all of that. So the money thing was not coming forth. It was getting closer and I was feeling so embarrassed. I had to borrow money online. And I went to Alakija Navy Town to make the clothes for the boys. Um, I got the link through the help of a client who is a Navy captain presently, Captain Bokoye. He had to help me call like their tailor in the Navy, in Alakija Navy Town. So I went there. He was aware and I paid the tailor to make the clothes. So a day to the career day, I was meant to pick up the clothes. Now, when I was supposed to go there, he insisted, oh, wait and pick up the children from school till they close. As usual, the school was just a street away from the street we stay. You see this man, he'd rather sit on top of his phone than even go to pick his own children from school. Like it can be so funny how he was that kind of a person. Now, after picking them up from school, I dropped them at home. I had to now leave for Lakija. That was about 5 p.m. We used to stay around Lasso area, and from Lasso area to to Alakija was a bit a distance with the traffic then in that area. I had to take Okada and all of that. Getting to Alakija, I discovered that the tailor was not done with one of the boys' clothes, so I had to wait for him to be done. Now, he called me. I also told him, I am here. They are trying to round up this cloth and all of that. And he didn't say anything. Immediately I finished at about after 8 to 9. In order to get home on time, I still took Okada back home. Getting home. As I was climbing the staircase, there was light in my apartment too. As I reached my door, it now became blackout. I was calling this man. The first time his phone rang. The next time the phone was on silent, he did not answer. Guess what? He locked me out. I slept on the floor till daybreak. Like I slept on my foot mat till daybreak. And mind you, the way the house we were staying was built is that there's a landing, a staircase landing. The landing, when you land, to the right is my apartment, to the left is my neighbor's apartment. Now, when it was morning, a reasonable human being would wake up and see somebody on the floor. Like if you actually forgot, or if you slept, or let's say, okay, he probably slept off, dozed off, which for crying out loud, that's even odd. Like really wrong. If you say you're married to somebody, you can't sleep off when the person is not back. And you comfortably slept in the next morning, right? This man slept off, woke up the next morning, and then saw me on the floor. on the corridor. He was already dressed, like he had had his bath, full dressed, walked past me, carried the car key, and drove out. Like nothing happened. Not even a word. Nothing happened. I wept that day, like I cried. My children were looking at me, like I felt the pain inside of me. It was so painful. I don't think the maybe the first beating was not as painful as that locking out. It was really painful. Like he just passed. Like nothing happened. I was shocked. I was amazed. And and my children came to me and like, mommy, and all of that. Do you know? I just took their clothes. I went in, had my bath, dressed them up, had their bath, and then voila, we went for career day. When we were going, I was just shedding tears. But the moment we got to their school and they wore those clothes, I smiled because I could see the fulfillment in them. Even if they were young, they were just barely two. I could see them excited, standing beside their mates, like they felt that they were wearing something different, and it was it for me. I felt it was it for me. After the career day was over, I came back home. Getting home at the gate, I saw somebody sitting at my entrance, like on a chair on my entrance, and the person looked like one of my ex-husband's brother. And I was like, is that not Verse Double? Mm-mm. I must be seeing double. It's not possible. And behold, I got closer. It was the reality of life. It was his brother that had a stroke. And in my head, I'm like, is this man serious? Is he joking? As in, is he actually serious? I climbed up and I met his brother. So the stroke kind of affected his speech. That's his immediate elder brother, actually. So he can't actually talk. He only just explain or write. And I said, I said, Obo, good evening, oh. And when you come, he did like, he used his hands to explain. Then he started writing on paper. I said, who brought you? He said, Chooks. Wham! He come out. I just like, wait, am I dreaming? So yesterday night I was locked outside. Today I am waking up with shock. As in, is it happening to me? I just walked in and I greeted him and I walked in
So
with my
you
children. I
so
smiled. I said, no problem. I was waiting for Oga to come back. So when he came back and I asked him, I said, I don't understand. I said, you locked me outside till daybreak. I slept with cockroach and mosquitoes. Now, you now went to bring your brother. No information, nothing. And he said, oh no. He went there to see them and they said he needed hospital, what did he call it? Sef? Oh, medical, whatever, checkup. So he was bringing him to the hospital close to the house. I was like, oh, really? I said, okay. And his brother was in the house. And the drama continued. Chooks didn't change. He even beat me up in presence of the brother one day. I could remember the brother crying because he couldn't talk, like he was crying, shouting, and all of that. The Oga did not change. Oh. He was still that person. Now, where actually made me give up was the fact that it got to a time. Now, this man didn't go to work again. He was completely at home. He said because he was running business. And mind you, their type of job, if you don't go to work, you're not paid. And the children will go to school. They will have to feed. All of those things will happen. And he said he was not going to work. So it got to a stage, I begged him to go to work. He didn't answer. I even had to call his best friend Martins to beg him to go to work. He didn't answer. He said he wasn't going. Now I got to a point he called me one evening and said, he's ready to go to work now. But there's an issue. I was like, what issue? He said his license has expired. Mind you, this is not the first time his license has expired while we were married. When we just got married, he had similar issue like that. I could remember that he couldn't afford it at that point in time. My mom gave him a kind of a loan, I remember. So this was another time again. So then he started disturbing me that, oh, please, I need to help and all of that. And I told him I don't have any money because I was not working. Now he has stopped my job. All I do was I was at this time I was not sewing because I had to learn fashion design at a point just to survive. And that fashion design at that point was what we are now relying on to even feed as a family. So when I sew clothes, I have to use those money to cook for us to eat. It was that bad. Sometimes I have to call friends. Sometimes I have to go back to call my parents and all of that. It was that bad. So along the line, after he spoke about this license thing and all of that, for me, okay, since he has decided to go to work, okay, let's see what we can do. I had to approach my pastor for loan. My pastor couldn't give us, of which, sincerely, I was not angry with my pastor. You know why? My pastor took me to the hospital while I had premature labor. This man slept on bench for me and still made some payments here and there. Now, the so-called husband, in quotes, came back from wherever he traveled to, and not even a sign of gratitude. One, not even saying he should go and ask this person, oh, how much did you spend to refund? Mind you, my pastor is not my husband, he's the one. So if somebody had made that sacrifice for you and you didn't even show that sign, if I were the person, I wouldn't do the next. I will not. So he didn't give us the loan. He couldn't give us at that time, which was fine. So I had to approach the owner of the cooperative I joined. That's the my children's school, proprietress as at that time, the school they were attending, who in turn now introduced me to a money lender, one man. I said, the only thing I want to ask you is simple. That when you finally go back to work and you sign your contract, please just tell your bank, give them a mandate that, okay, when they pay my salary, so percent or so amount, just do it, transfer to this account. That's all. At least when you have to travel to wherever, we don't need to be stranded because sometimes they can say they are in one country and there's no network they can be there for a month and we are stranded. So just do this thing. I said, I know you will not do it, but I just wanted to drop it there to know I have said it. And that's how he laughed and just kind of ended that discussion. Nothing. Now, the loan we collected was supposed to start being repaid in 1 month. Before I collected this loan, I asked Tris, I said, this loan, oh, when are we going to pay? He said, once we collect it, they do his license. His license will take about a week, and he will go back to work. In 1 month, to start paying. I was happy. I was like, okay, good. And loan was supposed to start being repaid. And he was at home, no work. At that point, I started asking him, but you told me that when this is this, you will go to work. So what's happening? I started hearing another story. Oh, it's Abada. Abada did this. Abada did that. That's his colleague at work. Oh, he had issues with the Indian the last time he came down. The last time he did. I was just looking. I was like, you said, like this man had issues at work. He didn't tell me. Oh, he just kind of switched the whole thing and all of that, spiced it up, and said he was not going back to work. Now this whole matter now came up. And I became a prayer warrior every night. Started praying, oh Lord, help my husband. Oh, bless. And all of that. I was praying every other night for God to just help because, man, loan was counting. So on this faithful day, we closed from church. Before then, I asked him for money. He said he didn't have money. And I asked him, how are we going to repay this loan? I said, okay, call your brothers. At least let them help. He said, oh, I should not worry. I said, okay. Then one of the boys fell sick, battling on and on that and all of that. I think he called one of his brothers or sent it to one of his brothers that, oh, his children are sick with hospital and all of that. And the message I saw that one sent him back was, oh, is it the Lord will heal you, Abby? Something like that. I have something about the Lord will heal you. Something like, if I can remember vividly. That was the message the brother sent to him. I saw it and I smiled. I didn't ask him. Me, I'm not involved. It's their business. So after those whole ordeal of the boy being sick and all, got well and blah and all of that, they went to church one Sunday and he stopped at like a grocery shop to buy meat pie. And I was like, ah, this is why you are buying meat pie. Okay, sure you say there is no money. When you see money to buy this thing, say, "Ah, I should not worry. That the brother sent money." I was like, eh? Your brother sent money. He said, yes, the brother sent him money. I said, which of your brother? He called the name. That was the same person that said, God will heal you. God will heal all of you. All of a sudden, I sent money. I just laughed in Spanish. I said, okay. Oh. I was like, your brother sent money. He said, yeah. I said, okay, that's good. Oh, thank God. I said, so are we paying the loan, the payment for this month? Yeah, yeah, we'll pay. I said, okay, thank God. We got home. I still asked him, I said, wait, oh, you mean your brother sent you money? He said, yeah. I said, but your brother, I had to now tell him that. I saw the message when he said, God will heal all of you. I had to now bring it up to him. He said, I said, are you sure your brother sent you money? He said, yes. I said, okay. At this time, he used to sell stuffs on Jumia. When he said he stopped work,
Oh.
he actually said he was going to open business for me, right? So the so-called business he was supposed to open, he carried it. So he was selling shoe, bag, clothes, and all of you, whatever you can, all of those things on Jumia. So he still had some items he was selling on Jumia. I don't know his sales record. Nine they said, nine they collecting money. So one evening, I was making clothes for a client and I had to deliver that clothes that day. So I was going to work overnight and there was no light. I was just managing. So all of a sudden, NEPA brought light. I was so happy that NEPA brought light. And note that, like I said, I smashed his phone the other time. So he didn't have like a phone he was not basically using. So he had to take my other phone, which he was using because he had not been able to fix the screen of his phone. And taking my other phone means that the password is my password, so I can access it normally. Hmm. Hmm. So as NEPA brought light, I just felt like, thank God, let me plug our phones. Carrying Oga's phone, I saw something pop like on the screen, more like he was pressing the phone and slept off. So on the screen display, what was there was account balance. This man had over 70,000 in his account. Hey, and guess what? 2 days before that day, we did not have food though. I begged a friend for 5K to cook, 5K to cook. And this man had more than 70K in his account. Hmm. When I saw that thing, hmm, I sat down, I thought about my life. Like, I was like, wow. Like, wow. I was just amazed that this man's children were hungry just yesterday here. And he gave us 200 naira that he didn't have money. And this man had 70K. I was pained, very pained. I slept and woke up the next morning. And I approached him. I said, sorry, oh, I wanted to say something. He said, what? I said, so you had, I like, so you had money and you said you didn't have money. And like, we are hungry. All I expected was just, oh, sorry, I was planning the money for this, ABC. That's all. This man just laughed and walked away. Like, who are you to ask me questions? Like, why should you know whether I have money or not? That's what he did. I just cried. I said, okay, it's fine. So, few days after that day, the children's proprietress, again, because I was sewing and I was sewing her clothes and a lot of people's clothes, and she knew I was sewing well, then told me she was going to help me. That there was this small business association of Nigeria, they give grant and they are in Ikeja. That's where their office is. They always hold their meetings and all of that. I needed to be a member, so at least they'll be able to give me grants. I could get an industrial sewing machine and all of that. So I said, okay, no problem. So she invited me. I was going to follow her to that meeting. I already told Oga that I was going for that meeting. So on that day, I woke up in the morning, dressed the children up that I was going, and he told me that I should not leave it. I should not go anywhere. I should not leave the house. I was like, I don't understand. Why should I not leave the house? I was like, this thing, I have to go. I'm going for this meeting, please. Because see where we are. There's nothing happening. I need to do something. And they said, oh, I should not leave the house. That since the children have holiday, I've been taking them to summer. I've not stayed at home with them. I'm just working. I'm taking them to some, all of that. He was just complaining. I didn't say anything. So guess what? The next thing, he took the children inside. The children had finished dressing up, pulled their clothes. I told them to sit inside. No problem. And he drove out. So when he drove out, me, I dressed them all back. And I said, let's go because the woman had already promised that her children will look after the boys because they had already always done that actually. And I never had any issues with that. So as I was about going, I came down, got into my gate. I saw that Oga parked his car at the junction, walked back like he was spying to know if I actually left. Walked back and saw me and took the children again upstairs, pulled their clothes, he even hid the clothes this time around. He hid it. Very petty. Hmm. And then left. And me too. It's very funny. I think
Okay.
sometimes the things he did were just too. It was, some of the things he did for me looked like African magic. Those epic, those village African magic movie. It was as if I was watching them in real life, but they were happening to me like real
Wow.
life. I now wore them the clothes
Yeah,
back.
did he drive out to
Before
just to
after
test
wearing
you
them,
to see if you were gonna go or what?
he didn't even drive back. Oh. He parked
Or
the
he
car at the
walked back? Like, I
junction
mean, did he
and
drive out?
walked back.
So the reason he
He
left
drove
was
out
to
like
see if you were gonna
he
go
drove
out.
out though, like he was yes, he drove out like he was going out. And I parked the car. He was not like
Yeah. So,
a police cop that was coming to catch a thief. I don't know anything that is from him. Because I don't get it. You drove out that you're going out, park the car somewhere, and now use ordinary foot to walk back to come and catch a thief. That was just the drama he acted. And I was like, okay. So after he put their clothes this time, he even hid the clothes. I said, this one shocked me. He hid it so that I will not see the clothes. Like, there's no other clothes they can wear. Any. This man is funny. You know? I now got them back, wore them another clothes. And this time he left them inside the house and I was downstairs, so they were crying. So I went up to meet them. This children just barely 2 years, like I said. Wore them clothes. and we came downstairs. I took my phone. I called his elder brother, the eldest brother, like the very first son. And I told him, I said, I don't know if you people's brother have told you people the truth, but right now I can't keep it anymore. We are suffering. There's no money. We are hungry. Your brother refused to went to go to work. I said, now you came to my house the other day. I went to drop you. Our gas finished. It was me who feed the gas, so it's not your brother. The money we'll be using to feed is the money I'm getting from Taylor. I gave the brother a breakdown. I said, now from this sewing, somebody is going to introduce me to somewhere I can get a grant. I'm going to go to that meeting. And your brother said I should not go. I said, sorry. Oh. You see me like this, I am already going. There's nothing anybody will say. I will go. And the brother said, even him, if he tells the wife not to go somewhere, she will not go. I said, you see this particular one, I will go. I said, because no help is coming. No. Me and my children we cannot be hungry. No, I will go. If this one, after I'm not doing it for just myself, I'm doing it for all of us. If they give me the grant and the business is moving, am I the only one spending money? No. And the brother just said his own. And after everything, me, I sha ended my call. He said I was going to call his brother. Whether I called his brother, I don't know. After I finished, after all, I have told the elders, right? I carried my children. I went there. I dropped them with the woman. And me and the woman went to the meeting. After meeting, we now came back. I carried children back home. As I got to my house, lo and behold, Oga was lying down on the couch. I greeted him. Children greeted him. He did not answer me. I greeted, he did not answer. Immediately I walked in, just going inside the room, trying to go and figure out how to put my. The next thing I got on my body was boom. Eh? What's that? It was funny. Before I could realize, like, what's happening? I've gotten the second, I've gotten the third, and I was on the fourth. At that fourth, it dawned on me that wait, they're actually flogging me. As in, they flog me. And I kept on asking, Sandra, wait, are they flogging me? Is it me they are flogging? That was all the questions I was coming like, Chooks, wait, are you flogging me? I can't, are you actually flogging me? And at that point, I had to scream, bro, Tony. for my neighbor. And my neighbor ran upstairs. This man was flogging me with koboko. An adult. Somebody's mother. In fact, people's mother was flogging me with koboko daylight. Like, I couldn't imagine. Tony ran upstairs, like the way that guy ran upstairs the staircase that day. Came upstairs, was still dragging. She was still shouting, I will flog her, I will blind her. He was still dragging, like you could see that he was dragging. I was like, what? I kept on saying, Bro Tony, wait. Now me they flog. Bro Tony, they flog. Like he could see that I couldn't bring myself to the reality that wait, my own father did not flog me for Boko. My mother did not. So I now married. He now carry Koboko to flog me. How? As in how? It was
So
still
was that
looking
the
at
first
me to
time he
me
was?
like it was. That's not the first. That's the seventh. It started from slap,
Oh,
kick, to punch. You know. See that particular time, it now became Koboko, and I was not hearing. I be blind. I say, the average die. I don't want to die. I cannot come and die. The painful part of that situation was that when the flogging happened, this man had the effrontery, like the audacity to call my mother and tell my mom that I don't know how to marry, that he will send me back home for them to teach me how to get married. He had the same audacity to tell my parents that he flogged me on my palm. Like that's guts. He had that audacity. I couldn't imagine it. Like my brain was not, in fact, it was as if all the nuts were gone. I was like, you said? And my mom had to reply to him. I was like, okay, since you say she knows Sabi married, no vex. So put her inside a Yari moto. No pay. Pack her load with her children. When she come, I will pay. So my mother had to tell him that wait, you flog my picking as in a slave, now house guy I give you. And you're telling me my daughter does not know how to marry, that you will send her back to come and learn how to marry. As in that was off for me. And his pastor came and asked him, and he said he was angered in the spirit. That is his slogan. So you see, for every time he did all of those rubbish he did, when he locked me outside, they asked him, he's angered in his spirit. When he slapped me, he's angered in his spirit. When there's no money, every time he is angered in fact, I don't know what his spirit is useful for, if it's for only anger. And the funny part was the pastor had to tell him, say, Brother Chooks, if you were angered in your spirit, that means if you had a gun, you shoot her. And he couldn't say a word. You shoot her. And the pastor said, so your spirit was so angered, and
Bro,
asked
you're
him,
so
where
correct.
was this koboko? He said it was in his car. And the pastor said, so your spirit was so angered that you went out in the morning. You came back in the evening. You drove back. You did all your walkabouts. Your spirit did not calm down from anger. You parked your car. You climbed the staircase. The spirit did not stop the anger. You now lied down and waited. Your spirit did not stop anger. You now still went to your car, carried Kobuku, kept it and waited. Your anger did not die. And when she came, you carried the Kobuku and started flogging her. And the person was like, so you use your money to go and marry a wife and use your money to buy Kobuku to flog the wife. Yeah. And again, she said he was angered in his spirit. Hmm. And I said, Pastor, I am done. Whether angered in spirit or angered in flesh, I am done.